So I was reading this article today about how a worker at a company called Yelp in San Francisco, California, I believe, has been having a tough time surviving in San Francisco. And basically she wrote a letter to her boss's boss. And it's titled An Open Letter to the CEO. All right, so basically there's been a lot of reaction for and against, but let's just take a look at what she actually wrote. So she talks about how she grew up in the 90s, blah, blah, blah. She left college having majored in English literature. Oh, well, I guess I know how this is going to end. Probably not very well. She even mentions in the in the third paragraph, but I didn't want to become a cliche or drown in student loans. Okay. All right. Didn't want to drown in student loans. We'll come back to that. I also desperately need to leave where I was living. I could get into details of why, but to sum up, I wanted to die every single day of my life and realize that it was because of the environment I was in. Okay. All right. So I picked the next best place, somewhere close to my dad, since we've never gone to have much of a relationship. And I like the weather up here. Well, this is really odd. You know, you want to die every single day of your life. So you picked a place close to your dad, who you didn't have much of a relationship with. Seems a tad bizarre, because if you wanted to die every single day of your life, wouldn't your dad be there in theory to help you out and to support you? I guess not, because you just said in the next sentence that he wasn't really there. But even though he wasn't there, you still want to live close to him. All right, so you want to live close to somebody who didn't support you in your biggest time of need. Why? I don't understand. All right, I found a job. I was hired the same day as my interview, in fact. And I put a bunch of debt in my shiny new credit card to afford the move. Did you not notice the hypocrisy here? She immediately says that she put a whole bunch of debt on a shiny new credit card, but she didn't want to become a cliche and drown in student loans. So instead, she becomes a cliche and drowns in credit card debt. All right, I see how you changed it just slightly enough so you couldn't say that you're exactly that cliche, but actually you didn't, because debt is debt, and if you can't pay it back, you can't pay it back. Coming out of college, she talks about how she had freelancing jobs and things like that. Then after I had moved and got firmly stuck in the apartment with this debt, I was told I'd have to work in support for an entire year before I would be able to move to a different department. Did you ask questions during the interview? Because usually you can ask, questions. You don't have to just, take everything. Usually it's a conversation. I don't think they just, use a machine gun to shoot demands at you and how the job is going to operate. I think it's a two-way street. You negotiate and you say, I want this, I'm looking for that. What can you guys provide? The company will ask you, what can you provide for us in return? All right. No, I guess she didn't know. So she makes this big move that takes up a whole bunch of resources and credit card debt. And now she finds out that she'd have to work there for an entire year before she can move up. All right. So this English literature university graduate couldn't ask the question, what's the career ladder like here? How long does it take to move up here? If I'm ambitious, what can I do? I guess English literature has failed her because she couldn't even ask those questions. Now she talks about how she's 25 years old, balancing all sorts of debt. And remember, she didn't want to be a cliche, but that's what ended up happening. And trying to pave a life for herself that doesn't involve crying in the bathtub every week. What is this crying in the bathtub every week? How bad is your life? If your life is that bad right now, wouldn't you try to do some self-introspection, try to figure out what happened, before this point? It didn't just all collapse when you moved. Every single one of my coworkers is struggling. They're taking side jobs. All right, and he talks about how one of them actually disappeared for a while, and you can read it. I'm not going to go into all the machinations over here. But basically, okay, fine. Yeah, the economy sucks. I get it. It blows. Okay, so what's your solution? I haven't bought groceries since I started my job. I got this 10-pound bag of rice. Bread is a luxury to me. Oh, now here comes the entitlement. Super entitlement face coming up. Now she talks about all the benefits. She glosses over them quite quickly. She talks about how, yeah, they're okay. Now she talks about how her credit card sucks and how she wasn't able to get to work. Blah, 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 blah. She talks about how the company has a lot of people changing. I haven't been here for very long, but it seems like every week the faces change. Do you think it's because the pay your company offers is designed to attract young people with no responsibilities? Well, if that's the case, that might explain why you got the job on the interview, which you so succinctly pointed out immediately, by the way. Yeah, all right. So now something that you're saying, aha, I got the job on the first day. Well, actually, maybe it's because you're just hiring a whole bunch of idiots. Well, if that's true, then you just kind of said that you were an idiot. Mind you, with an English literature degree, so you can write poems while picking up garbage. They still live at home in their very first job. They don't have to take an aptitude test. So wait a second. It makes no sense. You're saying that the people that they're hiring are all these baboons. They're all idiots, and they're not doing a good job, and so the turnover rate's really high. And so why are you working at this job again? You have a degree. Doesn't that make you, smart or something? Or does it just drown you in debt with a useless piece of paper and wasted 4 years of your life? Because if you're accurate, then that would mean that you're right, and the company's just going to hire high school graduates or maybe high school dropouts because they can do it. So do you not understand that you're insulting the company but insulting yourself at the same time if you're correct? Now, she goes to the sob story, which is, it's disheartening. She can't afford her phone bill. She can't afford her heater and all these things. She talks about how she'll make a deal. She'll cut off all this stuff. She goes into these facetious suggestions about how the company could have some sort of charity fund and match and all those things. But then she talks about how her CEO is worth between $111 to $222 million. That's a whole lot of rice. All right. Yes, the guy made a company and he's successful. Did he kill anyone to do it? Did he break any laws? Did he coerce people? Did he steal? Did he do anything morally wrong other than making deals with people and those people accepting the deals? Because that's what businessmen are. I mean, there are crooked businessmen. Now, those guys crooked, if they're crooked, that's something different because they're lying, they're stealing, they're cheating, they have under-the-table deals. But if this guy's all above board, you didn't do anything wrong. Just because you're rich is not indicative of the fact that you must be morally bankrupt. This person could be a decent guy. He could be a jerk too. I don't know. But simply saying that he made money doesn't tell me either way. So, yes. So, anyways, those are her thoughts. I know they're not worth your time, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, she updates, and she says she's been officially let go from the company. Then she says, my PayPal is this. You can send me money. So, Ty, all I have to say is, fuck you. You're an idiot. Not only are you an idiot, but you probably have a lot of trauma. And when I say you're an idiot, I don't mean it like you're an idiot and you can't be helped. I've been an idiot sometimes in my life, and everybody on this planet has been an idiot at some point in their life. Your idiocy can be assisted. It can be cured. And not in the way of actually prolonging your idiocy. What I mean is that you can become an intelligent person once again. You can become a non-idiot. Well, how do you do this? Well, first off, you didn't blame the right people. Even in the first part of your rant or your writing, whatever you want to call it, you said, I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to explain. but I want to die every single day of my life. This is before you got the job, okay? So the fact that you got this job had nothing to do with the fact that you were depressed and you were sad or angry or whatever it was. And that's very unfortunate, and that's not good. But here's the question. Why was that? You said it was the environment. Well, what's wrong with the environment? You mentioned your father, who you didn't have a relationship with. Well, where's your mother? Do you have any siblings? Where are your friends? Where's your extended family? How come they're not giving you any support? Is it possible that you're in this horrible predicament not because of the job you took, but because of all the precipitating factors that led to this point? If you just look at the car crash and you go, yeah, you see those two cars crash, that's the reason it happened. Well, maybe you take a look at the beginning and you go, okay, that guy started drinking 2 hours ago, and that's the reason there's a car crash 2 hours later. You can't just look at the conclusion. You got to look at all the things beforehand, and you don't even want to talk about it. So maybe you got to start blaming the right people. Now, you talk about also how they pay you about $12, and after taxes, you get about $8.15 or something afterwards. That sounds like a big pay cut because you're losing about 33% of your money. Well, who's taking that money? Well, it's the government, right? Well, the government takes your money by force. You don't ask. You don't donate the money. They just take it. What did this guy do? What did the CEO of Yelp do for you? The company interviewed you. They said, do you agree to these terms? You said yes. You decided to move. He didn't steal anything from you. All he did was he gave you a deal. You thought it was more advantageous to take it, so you took it. So you're mad at him because he gave you 67% of your money, but you're not mad at somebody who forcefully takes 33% of your money away? Seems a little bit odd. That would be like if someone, kissed you because you wanted them to kiss you, but then, there's another guy who, kissed you or fondled you and you didn't want that, but you didn't complain about that. But you complained about the guy who did kiss you. That doesn't make any sense. Lastly, if you are so smart, and you write quite well actually, and it does show that you are an English literature major, fine, great. But if you're worth more, then why are you writing this? Why aren't you out there writing resumes to other companies? Why aren't you knocking on doors, dressing up every day, showing everybody how good you are? Because if you're worth more than $12 an hour or whatever it may be, then you just go to the next company. And if they think you're worth more, then you're going to earn more. It's not rocket science. Instead, you come here, you don't talk about what happened in your past because it's traumatic. I get it. Seek therapy. I'm being totally serious. And then you bitch and whine about the one guy who gives you a chance. So you got to do a lot of self-analysis here. I feel very, very sad for you. You don't need my pity, but I feel sad because you have a lot of problems. Many of them it doesn't seem like it's your fault. You're 25, maybe you've had a lot of traumatic experiences. But at some point, you're going to have to learn and you're going to have to grow. And right now, you're taking 5 steps back and another 3 steps down the stairs, basically. You're not making any progress. So go out there, show people that you can do better than bitch and whine and complain, and seek some therapy.